You are listening to the Game Like Training podcast, where we talk about golf practice, golf learning, golf psychology, the PGA Tour, college golf, and pretty much anything in the golf business, to be honest. We try to bring on guests both from an academic background as well as a coaching background to give you more value to help you either with your golf game or your golf coaching. Hey, I'm your host, Matthew Cook.
And I'm your co-host, Eric Cogorno, and we are really excited about today's guest.
Yeah, man.
The goal of this podcast, like you said, Maddie, is to help not only educate golf coaches and help them coach better, but to help players play better. And today's guest is really going to be geared towards helping coaches grow their business. So this is going to be a great topic.
Yeah, so today we have on a good friend of ours, Eric Cogorno, a top golf coach up in Philadelphia. And we're going to talk about, thanks for coming on the show, Eric. I really appreciate your time and energy today.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Eric is going to talk. Eric is a golf coach that works with a lot of players, both from beginner golfers all the way to extremely well-versed golfers that are playing collegiately and playing at a very high level. As well as that, Eric has done some incredible things in the industry to really elevate his career, elevate his income, no doubt, and elevate his visibility and credibility within the industry. And I think it's important for us to, dive into Eric's mind and see, where it started and what you've done to get to the level that you're at now. And this, to me, in my opinion, is just the beginning for you as a person and as a golf coach. This is no doubt that this is not the pinnacle of your career. You're only going up and up and up. And I think getting in now before we're nobodies that you don't want to talk to is a good thing. So, very excited that Eric's joining us on the show. I think golf coaches will get a lot, as well as maybe players if we talk about some golf stuff. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, let's get to it.
All right. All right, give us a little introduction yourself, Eric. Tell us who you are and what you've done give us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, first, thanks for having me. I appreciate the kind words there, and I appreciate, rarely am I on something with two Erics. So that's also another little side bonus. So I grew up playing golf like a lot of us. My dad played golf. I got into golf at a fairly young age. Had the pipe dream like most of us do who teach now that I was going to go play professionally, right? Took all of a couple of months to figure out that probably wasn't going to happen.
It takes some people years, so don't worry, you go offline.
Yeah. And realized I wasn't going to go play. That was kind of my plan for a couple of years. Went off to college. That's when that realization really started to kick in, started to teach, was working at the course. I always tell the story from a business perspective of coaching and accepting money for coaching. I used to work at a course and pick balls, right? I picked balls, I washed carts. And when I was in college, I was making like $8 an hour. And the guy that worked at the shop came in one day, and it's one of those moments I'll never forget. I can remember it with clarity. And he just gave a lesson, and he told me he made $50 for the lesson, right? And I'm sitting there picking balls in the range, making $8 an hour, thinking to myself, dude, $50 an hour. Like, are you kidding me with this? What if I teach 5 lessons a week or 10 lessons a week? And so, to be very honest, that's where it started. I didn't start teaching from a love of the game or a love of teaching. I started because I knew 50 was greater than 8, right? And I could do some basic math because I was in college. And that's where it started, man. I started teaching that year. Was really, really, really bad, as you are when you start anything. And it was really the first thing that I ever did that I was really bad at, really couldn't figure out, was not good in the beginning. And I think instead of me being upset or depressed about it, I really was like, man, I gotta figure this deal out, right? I like this $50 an hour concept. And shoot, man, I just turned 30. That was 12 years ago. And it's been a 12-year kind of journey of just trying to figure out how to give better lessons, honestly, since that first day.
Sweet.
That's awesome.
Nice. All right.
50 is better than 8.
Yeah. I think we're working the opposite direction right now.
It feels that way.
Yeah. So, I think recently, your YouTube channel's blowing up, your social media's blowing up. You got people on your website. I know you recently launched a new website with some new designs, some new features, and you just seem to be very proactive from a business perspective in the industry. So And it's great that we got an insight to how that started, just saying, oh, 8 at 50 is better than 8. I'm going to go down that route. Can you give us sort of, tell us more about when the turning point was for you with this, you know what, I'm giving lessons, I'm giving X number of lessons a week, X number of lessons a month, I'm making this much a year. But you know what? I need to take it up a notch. I need to embrace social media. I need to jump on YouTube. I need to go digital. All of these things in the 21st century that, you know, it seems that golf coaches are not grasping. Maybe whether it's they're not understanding it or they don't believe in it. I'm not entirely sure. It would be nice to know what you think of that. But tell us more about when that realization happened, and what were the things, the action points that you took to get in where you are right now.
Yeah, so the same way that I had that moment of 50 is greater than 8, I didn't have that same like moment that I remember a flip switch. What I remember was gradually over time, right? Like I started getting better at teaching, and as you get better at teaching, you can have some kind of communication skills. I got more and more students. So that one person per week that was $50 that I was so excited about turned into 5 people per week, you know, and then maybe in year 2 it was 10 people per week, and then it was 15, and it was 30. And the first year that and I don't mind talking about money stuff here too. So one of the first year that I taught, I think I made like $6,000 teaching, which that was like the models and bottles type of deal for me, right? At that point in time, they say. So it was like $6,000 the first year. And I basically just like doubled my lesson money every year for the first like maybe 5 years. So I want to say I went from like, that might have been 7,500 to 15,000 in year 2. Then I went from 15 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 120. And the year I did 120 was like, I taught my face off. Like people like to, and I know, Matt, you're a little bit of a different circumstance, and we can get into that story of you flying up here out of nowhere that one night. But people talk about like working 6 or 7 days a week and working a lot in the grind and this, that, but very few actually work. And I'm talking about work, not like feet up answering an email, like on a lesson tee at the golf course all the time. For me to make that amount of money relative to, I was charging, I think on average, probably $80 an hour. So you can do some basic math there based on my season. I was teaching a lot. And I'm probably like, I just turned 30. This is probably like 4 years ago, maybe. I'm 26 years old. And I'm like burnt out, dude. I'm like really tired. And it was just clear to me to say, hey, I can't do this forever. I don't want to be 50, 60, 70 years old teaching on a mat feeling like this. It got to the point where it was no enjoyment. Like I was working so much. I was like, dude, I don't even like this anymore. And so that kind of point hit. And then I'm like, all right, you know, the issue with the lessons obviously is I charge $80. I got one person. It's not scalable. I make $80 per hour. So then I started doing more group stuff and things like that. That helped, right? I changed my model, my price point. That was my first genius moment. Like this is going to be great, but I still ran into the same issue of trading time for money, right? Is what it came down to. And so yeah, that puts us back to like 4 years ago. Did the group thing, figured out it was better but not perfect, and then I thought, you know, online was kind of the next thing. I know you're a Gary Vee guy. I mean, at that point, I'm listening to guys like Gary Vee. I'm a big Grant Cardone guy. Guys that are talking about scaling businesses online, the importance of money, and I'm eating that stuff up right, left and right. And so I bought a camera. Spent like $800 on a camera and a mic. And I didn't know how to get like the camera on. I had a hard time getting on this call, right? I didn't know how to get the camera on. I don't know how to put the mic in. Like, I think I filmed like 2 videos, and I'm like, shoot, right? Like this ain't gonna work. Here we go back to the lesson thing. And so really a couple of events led up to me meeting my now business partner, Mary Langle, like really randomly. And she's like, hey, I really like what you're doing here. You know, I do like the filming, the editing. I'm in that world. We should do something. And I was like, you know what, whatever, let's do it. Let's roll. I don't mind messing up and kind of like falling on my face. I'd rather always try something and then just kind of, and then adjust. And so we just started, man. We just filmed lessons. And I don't know how deep you want me to get into that, but I mean, we just started going with that, and then we can talk about that journey as we go. And I do want to touch on the idea of the online, how to make money on it, and why coaches don't do that too. So let me know where you kind of want me to go with that.
Yeah, I think, you know what, that leads right into what I was going to go into next. Like what the question you just asked is my question. So go ahead, go straight onto that.
The golf pro. Yeah.
why they're making money online and going down that route.
Yeah. So like there's a couple factors I think that are just general human things. Number one, it's new, right? So like it's going to be uncomfortable and different. Getting yourself in front of a camera and watching yourself is uncomfortable. You look weird. It's different. Like that's why people don't do anything, right? Like why don't people diet or go to the gym? Whatever. It's uncomfortable. It's weird. I mean, that's a big one. It's very difficult to make money immediately, right? So like the online thing from my perspective is a long-term play. When I started recording these things, I'm already doing well in my mind financially for what I spend. I live like a monk. I spend no money. If I'm making this amount of money, I'm like, hey, listen, I don't really need the money. I need the time. I want the freedom. I don't want to be stuck to a mat my whole life. And so I'm thinking, hey, if I'm shooting these videos and it takes me 3, 5, I don't care if it takes me 10 years. At that point, then I'm 36 and have freedom. That's fantastic. That's cool. So I went into it really long term. And I think a lot of people go into it really short term. Like, hey, if I'm going to film these things or post them on or do this, what's my return on my investment? What am I making money wise? Like, dude, it's not about making money in the beginning. I think the goal with social media is expanding audience, right? This comes back to economics 101. It's supply and demand. Why can I then make money online or charge more money for lessons or do different things? It's because my demand is greater because my audience is bigger, right? So I think those were a couple of key things in the beginning mindset wise was long term. And my goal was growth of audience, not monetization. So I think those are two things that people miss in the beginning. And then because you're not making money right away, like we filmed videos, dude, like maybe 3 or 4 a week at least for 15 months and nobody watched them. Like 15 months,
That's it, man.
dude. And it's crazy. And like, I'm lying if I'm sitting here saying like, I didn't want to quit. I mean, I wanted to quit 7 long-term mentality. I was like getting like, man, I don't know if it's going to work. Like, should we keep doing this? I'm giving up this $100 an hour teaching to do these, filming. I'm like, whatever. And so it's not easy, man. I think it's not easy, but it's very doable. And I think a lot of golf coaches too assume because there's already people doing it, or there's more and more people doing it, that like they shouldn't do it because people are already doing it, right? Which is like such a terrible mindset in my mind. I look at that like, hey, excellent. Like, how do I do it better than they're doing it, or do it as good as they're doing it? Like, what are they doing that made them so good? Why did me and my golf have 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, right? Why do these other guys have all these different things they're doing? Let's model some of that. The same principles that work to grow an audience worked 50 years ago that work now. It's just a different platform, right? It's just, the same things work. So I think those are a couple of the main ingredients why coaches don't do it. And then just none of us like change, right? We all like comfortable. Imagine you've been teaching for 10 years and that's your primary income and you have a family and you have other elements. It's like, hey, dude, like you got to put, let's say, I don't know, 5 hours a week aside to start. You're going to make no money off of it and maybe do it for a year or so. Like, are you willing to do that if on the back end you get X, Y, and Z, the freedom, the financial, et cetera.
So what was your goal when you started that kind of the online subscription stuff? Like you said it was obviously not to monetize it initially. It was more geared towards growth of audience. Did you have like a number in your mind as far as kind of what you wanted to reach initially? And like, did you kind of have a timeline on that? Because I mean, you said 15 months. Like that takes a lot of patience, and a lot of people are going to toss that in after
15 days.
Yeah. So like,
I just posted this 15 hours ago. Why is no one watching it?
Yeah, it's got 10
Dude,
views and
on.
5 of them are my mom kind of thing. Like,
Yeah. So I think, in the beginning, I don't know why, but I had in my mind that if I could get like 10,000 people on a platform, like you always do this basic math when you're starting a business that things are going to work like utopia and you convert 1%, you do that, and it never works that way. And so I was always thinking, hey, when we hit 10,000, we got something pretty good going here. I could convert X amount, whatever. And then I found out that wasn't real. Like we got to 10,000 and like didn't really convert that many people. And so, I never had I wanted to hit 10,000, but then from there, it's just a growth thing. Like for me, golf and outside of that, like I make no bones about, I want to get into personal development at some point in time after golf. And for me, just the growth is the key, man. Like whether it be business for me, happiness for me, how I feel about myself. When I'm moving up, I feel good, things are going good. And when I'm not, I don't. And so for me, a subscriber thing is just one metric towards that, right? It's just like, are we continuing to grow at a faster rate than we were before? For selfish reasons, but then also because I genuinely think I can help a lot of these people. But in terms of converting it to a business, yeah, I thought 10,000, that kind of wasn't it. And then it just turned into, hey, let's grow as big as we can. We're probably now at the point where I think we have like 40, maybe 45,000 on YouTube, which is the main platform. I still haven't figured out Instagram. I still don't know what to do with Instagram, but on YouTube, we're at a point now where we're monetizing. And I guess to answer your point more directly, probably in that like 20 to 30,000 subscriber rate, we really had like 200,000 people watching the videos. So like not a lot of people click subscribe, right? I don't click subscribe in a lot of videos I watch. So we had 200,000 people that were watching the videos on a regular basis. And then at that point I was like, hey, okay, this is enough where let's start to monetize it. And we started with a product. So it was a fix your slice product for $47, which I thought I was just going to post and people were going to eat it up, and it didn't. You had to like work to sell something. And then, the next model was then, turning that into a subscription-based thing, which we launched in October, which is a monthly subscription-based piece. So there's been a couple monetization points. Like I would say YouTube AdSense pays you more. And I can talk now. If you guys want to talk about like actual numbers, we can do that. YouTube AdSense kind of throws you some money. We have the membership site where you pay a monthly fee, the product, you have affiliate stuff. You guys know about all that. So yeah, probably at that 20,000 point with 200,000 people watching was when it hit a point where it started getting serious. But I never thought 2 years ago, like, oh, I'm going to get 200,000. Like, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, let's keep getting better and let the rest of it take care of itself.
Right.
Yeah, I think because you're so open about things, this is awesome. And golf coaches they want the hard numbers, don't they? Like they're like, nah, you're full of shit. You're full of shit. That don't work, Well, let's like same with when people speak to us about some things they don't believe makes money. We quite happily can turn around and say, well, it does if you do it like this, and this is how much it's making us. So let's go into YouTube. Like, it took a while to get subscribers, took a while to get views. Now you've got a bigger audience. You've monetized it. Like, what does that monetize? YouTube AdSense. What does that contribute to your to revenue wise? What are some numbers? You can go as specific as you want. I understand if you don't want to say exactly, but knowing you probably will.
So yeah, I'll just kind of go through some of the things, like how we monetize our online where we make our revenue.
Yeah, do that. That sounds good.
AdSense is where YouTube pays you to advertise on their videos, as you guys know, but some people won't know that. YouTube takes a lot of that percentage, but you get some percentage of it. And that for a while for us was about $2,000 a month. So in the beginning when we did YouTube, it was like, I don't know, $300 a month. And I was like really pumped about that $300.
Right? You would be like, I've done this for 15 months. Now I'm getting
it was, and it's not even about the money for me, right? It's just the like, okay, we can do this. This works. So 300 was good. And then we got to about 1,000 a month and we were there for a couple months. And then we got to 2,000 a month for AdSense. And now we're doing like 3,000 a month. It fluctuates a little bit, but about 3,000 a month from AdSense. We do affiliates through YouTube, which is we sell products, Tour Striker smart balls. We do super speeds, live views, like different companies that have golf specific things you guys know about. I'll say that's about $1,000 a month we make from affiliate sales. We get a commission when people buy. We do training products. We did 3 master classes, slice fix, shallow your downswing, and rotation. That does about 3,000 a month to 3,500 on that. I do online lessons, which only happen because of YouTube. So to me, that counts. I usually do like 1 or 2 a day. That's about 2,000 a month for that. Our membership site that we do now is doing about $7,500 a month, but that's growing like a weed. So I think that's like, that number will change if we were talking in summertime. And then I do other videos for other sites that I sell products with and get commission-based percentage off of. One of them is Performance Golf Zone. That for me is like $4,000 a month. So if you tally all those things up, I did a webinar maybe 2 months ago with Justin and the title, it was like making $10,000 a month online. And like I do that, like that's a real thing. Like you can tally those numbers up and anyone can. That is what it is, and that's what we do. Now that's what we do. Like again, like there's a lot of variables in there though, right? Which like I know enough to talk on camera. I am fairly good on camera, right? Like I have Mary, which is like a huge freaking thing. And then like we did 15 months and made no money. So I don't want to make it like, oh, if you just start filming videos, you're gonna make 20 grand a month. No, like there was a lot of unique things that lined up there. But for a lot of people, it doesn't need to be 20 grand a month. It could be $1,000 a month. It can be 500 bucks a month. It could be 2 grand a month. So yeah, that's kind of how the money breaks down for us.
That's cool. That's great. I think those hard numbers like that is the golf coaches are gonna eat that up and finally might have a realization that, you know what, if I dedicate just a little bit of time every week to this in the next year or two, yeah, that could contribute to my income.
Yeah, because I know that's a hard thing about the teaching industry in general is you are selling time, and there's only so much time in a day that you can teach, and it's hard too with seasons depending on where you are. Weather plays a factor. There's all these kind of things that play a factor that can impact your revenue, and it can be challenging. I'm from Colorado originally, so I know teaching pros out there who basically have that 5-6 month season, and they're trying to basically make as much money as they can in that window so they can survive the winter. So it's and that's why I left Colorado. It's hard. That's a hard lifestyle, and having this online presence is something that it takes time. But how much time would you say you're having to put into it now to kind of keep this going? Because obviously initially it seems like it must have been a bit of a a lot of time consumption, kind of getting it up and running. Would you say now you're still putting in just as much time, or has it freed you up? Kind of your goal was to have some free time. Do you feel like doing this has helped contribute to that?
Dude, you know what's sick is I almost feel like I have too much free time now.
Yeah.
It's like a really weird thing, like mentally for me, coming from being so busy before to creating this thing where I have more freedom, and now I have more freedom, and now I'm like, I don't want to say I'm bored sometimes, but I'm kind of like, I'm like a little too flexible. Now that'll change as we get into season, but yeah. So time we spend doing it. We film twice a week on Mondays and Fridays. We film 3 YouTube videos per week. We do everything, and not like I guess I'll toot my own horn. Everything's always just one take right off the bat. So if we do a 10-minute YouTube video, that took 10 minutes. Right. We do a 15, like it's just bang, bang, bang. So usually it'll take us an hour per day on Monday, an hour on Friday to film the 3 videos. I do a live YouTube every Monday at 5 p.m. Call it Rapid Fire Golf, trying to turn it into a golf show at some point. So that's another hour. It takes time to set things up and break them down, obviously, as you guys know, right? So that's time. I actually got to the point now where I kind of dedicate half of my Monday and half of my Friday to filming and/or like online business things. So it's going to probably turn into 2 full days a week. So it'll be like my whole Monday and my whole Friday will be just online, and then just business things. And then I'm probably spending like an hour or 2 per day every day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, like answering YouTube comments, like replying to emails, doing stuff on the site, answering member questions. So there's stuff behind there, but like the return on investment of that hour of work is much better than my $100 an hour lesson fee that I used to charge, right? So yeah. And the other thing I want to make a point too, like you said about the pros up north, just quick, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but the fact that you moved, right, like makes you unique and different. People don't know the story about Matt, which we were talking beforehand, that this is like 5 or 6 years ago. I think we talked online we talked a little bit, like we knew each other, like we weren't like real good friends. And I was like, hey dude, I'm doing this talk. I'm gonna get somewhere with the story. I'm doing this talk in Philly, right? This Philly section thing. And I was like uncomfortable and very self-conscious. Like, I don't know if I can do this talk by myself. Like, I need someone else there. I need Matt to come up. We're gonna do this like game like training, right? Like how to transfer your game to the course. And so this dude out of like nowhere, doesn't know me that well, is like, F it, I'm in, books a freaking flight up like 2 days later, comes up, stays with me at my mom's house up near like Philadelphia. We go do this freaking talk, and then he flies right back home. And the point of the story is that makes him and you a 0.1%, because people won't do that, right? And like the fact that we're even in the game and having this conversation, it's those little baby steps in the beginning that then lead to things blossoming. It's the fact that I was willing to record the first video that I'm sitting here talking to you today. right? It's that you just put your foot forward and you make a different change, and then you stink and you adjust, and you keep stinking and keep adjusting. It's really not any more complicated than that, but it's that first freaking jump that you took. That's the kind of shit that gets me pumped up. That's cool. That's not what a lot of people do, but that's really what it requires and all that it requires in the beginning.
Yeah, that was awesome. That it was a
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Facebook conversation.
How long ago was that?
Like say about 5.
Was that when you had just moved?
Years? It was pretty much when I hadn't been here in Georgia for that long.
Okay, so you just gone to Georgia.
Yeah, and we were chatting on Facebook, and I was like, you know what? I think even Tom Murray was staying with me at the time. I said, Tom, I'm booking a flight. I'll be back in a few days. I just left him here.
That's
like,
awesome.
See, I'm heading to do this talk because it was earlier on for GLT and me. It was it was a few years ago. So I was like, you know what? As much as I'm helping Eric, like he's doing me more of a favor than anything. There's some more visibility, some more exposure, something else to talk about, and plus it was fun and cool, and it's that type of shit that
and that's big too. And I don't mean to belabor this on, but like that was eye-opening for me. Like the fact that you would just do that and hop on a flight and go somewhere and do that, like I didn't have that in me at that point in time. It takes those kind of moments where you're surrounded by people that are willing to do stuff like that. And what I find is the more and more that I'm like leveling up with this stuff, and the more and more I'm talking to guys like you, those doors just start to seem to open up, and then those opportunities just keep opening up and opening up. And so long as you're like putting your foot through those, then you meet a new slew of people and all these other things start to happen. And before you know it, we got this YouTube thing. You know what I mean? Like it's all just these little freaking things where I'm like, I'm a little nervous about this. Should I do this or not? Okay, I will. And then boom.
Yeah, that was such a powerful point for golf coaches. Like you don't have to create this whole YouTube channel and create this whole website and these products and services. Like one day you might have that, you might want to have that, but you know what? Today, just commit to doing a Facebook post once a week. Or you know what? Today, just put your iPhone up and do a 30-second video of a golf shot. Like just start somewhere, and then before you know it, you're making these other decisions, and decisions shape destiny. That just to relay back to one of your points earlier, and I think it was Tony Robbins that said this. It really hit home when we did one of his courses. The key to happiness is progress. So whether you're making more money out of it, which inevitably you will, it'll come, but you're gonna be much happier just generally in your life anyway, just by making progress, just one foot forward. And that's what we talk about as golf coaches to our students. You don't have to have this whole practice schedule built out and you're swinging perfect, in perfect places. Just commit to coming to the range once a week and spend 20 minutes. Just start there. Like we preach this stuff. Let's start to do it ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and I also, one other thing, because I want to make clear is golf coaches that are thinking about doing this, and you said this before, they don't even need to turn this into an online thing. Like we're talking basic economic supply and demand. If you want to coach, you're like, hey, I don't want to do that online thing. That's fine. Facebook and the marketing ability on Facebook with how specific you can get per your audience is just unfreaking believable. And 90% of golf pros above the age of probably 30 don't know much about it. And you can take and do these sponsored ads, right? And you guys know this, to people in your area who golf at the course that you teach at, and do these videos to them. And all you're trying to do is expand your audience. And then what happens? More people want lessons from you. Your demand is higher. You take that $100 price and bump it up to $120. Okay, wow. I do 500 lessons a year at $120. I can teach 3 hours less per week. I can go hang out with my kid or do this, whatever. This doesn't need to turn into this huge, I'm going to be the most famous person in the world thing. You can literally just use it to charge more money per lessons if you want to. And it's not that complicated.
Yeah, I mean, when you say that, first person that comes to mind for me would be GG Swing Tips, George Kankis. I mean, I know when I saw his stuff, it was just on Instagram. And it was just this funny dude rocking his Jordan slippers and like baggy pants and a Bears jersey, giving golf lessons. Yeah, and it was just fun. Like he was funny to watch. He's a character. And then all of a sudden, like when you look kind of, one day I just started scrolling through some of the comments in one of his threads, and it's just like, I mean, everybody was asking for, how do I get in contact with you? How do I get lessons? How do I get lessons? Like that guy. And I don't know, I've never spoken to him. I don't know if that was his goal when he kind of started, you know, jumping onto Instagram that much. Was it to grow subscribers or grow an audience or not? But, you know, he did. And
he to me is like the godfather of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just like genuinely like you guys, just like a good dude, just like a cool, good guy. And I'm not sure exactly what he charged back then. I know what he charges now. I'm not going to say it on here because it's obscene. And he teaches all day long at that rate. I mean, his amount of yearly revenue had to have at least doubled from when he taught before. And I think he was doing pretty good before. But that's the thing too, just genuine. Like, and I think the other thing about social moving in a different direction, I want to get back to George, is you don't need to create like a tip video, right? Like the video, Jerry V always says document versus create, right? You can be creating videos of just what's going on. People find our like daily things much more interesting than we think, right? Like I think a lot of times we think we're boring and there's not a lot going on, or this wouldn't be a video. No, like you're interested in, like people will be interested in these little tiny things. And what was so good with George was that not only is he a character, we haven't really seen that in the golf world at his extent because we're more like dressed like me.
Yeah.
And but he also had characters around him. People started to buy into and like the people at the range, the atmosphere. It was like a show when you would go on there, right?
Yeah.
But I think everyone can do that even on a smaller scale locally and do the same thing with their lesson prices that he did.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, document versus create. People are way more interested in. People are going to be more interested in us setting up this stuff and me walking back to my desk and doing what I'm going to do next. You going back to your desk and then Ramel going to edit the video. Or, like they're going to be more interested in that than they are what we're talking about. So that's the thing. You don't need to like create this whole scripted series and like that's you can get to that point if you want, but that's you're talking doing things on a bigger scale then. But to start with, you don't need to do that. Just film a tip. You might even say it wrong and then correct yourself during the video. Like it's fine. Just a small little thing is fine.
Yeah, I would even say, dude, don't even script it. Like you said, get in there and like, dude, we do our YouTube videos, I've never scripted one video ever. We have like 400 of them, and I mess up all over the place. That's part of the beauty of the video, right? Like people want to see real and authentic and raw. And all someone has to do is take their phone, right? Click on Facebook, log in, take their phone, click like 2 things, and then just start going. Like start going. If it stinks and you don't like in the beginning, whatever, at least start, then film another one tomorrow. Pick one per week, like you said, that works good, and get it the heck up there and post one per week. And then you get a good reaction, post 2 per week. You know what I mean? Like this shit is not, I don't know if I can swear or not, but it is not that complicated.
It's no. Cool, man. All right, let's start to wrap up. Do you got anything else to add?
No. The last thing I was just going to add was basically to wrap it up was just, you know, what would be your, for the golf pro that is looking to, you know, make more revenue, and they're already doing what you were doing where you started, where they're teaching, you know, these long hours.
This
and
is what I was going to ask.
Yeah, you know, what would be your kind of, I guess, keys to success? Where would you tell them to start? And I think I know where you're going to go with it because you've already said it a couple times. But like, where would you tell them? Like, what should they be doing? What would be your action
give us 3
points?
things.
Yeah,
The first 3 things that someone can do right now today.
Yep. So number 1 is get better at giving lessons. And so when we talk about these other things to do, let's not overlook the fact that all of us could be better at teaching. And when we're better and our students get better, the old word of mouth is still in play, right? And that works. So teach better in whatever capacity that means to you. Number 2 is you need to scale your audience. And there's a lot of ways to do that. I would say actionable things to start with would be posting a video on Facebook. And then that would be week 1. Week 2, go on Google and research how to do Facebook ads. Week 3, post your first Facebook ad. Week 4 through 50, adjust and continue doing that. That would be number 2. And then number 3, I would say make a clear decision of how you want to increase your business. Do you want to increase your in-person business? Do you want to decrease your in-person and increase online, or other? And then make a game plan based around that. And none of those are right or wrong. Understand though, if you go the online route, that is more long-term whereas the in-person play can happen sooner.
Yeah.
Boom. Awesome, man. Well, on that note, that's the perfect ending note for golf coaches to do some more stuff, get some more shit done, and start to kill it. So I appreciate your time again. Thank you for coming on the show. I think there's a lot of value in this, and I can't wait to get it out there to everybody. So thanks again.
Thanks, fellas.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
All right, you can check into our YouTube channel, or you can check into Eric's. He's probably got a few more subscribers than we have. But you can find us on YouTube. You can go to gltgolf.com to find out more information about this podcast. We'll have some blogs on there about this as well that will outline some of the key takeaways from it. You can follow us on social, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We've started to figure out Instagram, so that's going well. Nowhere near with Snapchat, and I'm not sure we're going to even bother with it. But you can also search for GLT Golf Podcast online. You'll find it on a range of platforms. But thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon.